All right, hello everybody. Let me just get my screen set up here. All right, there we go. Today is a bit of a scuffed setup. I'm in my bedroom on my laptop because my Arch Linux is having some problems right now. By the way, I use Arch, and so we're on worse headset, and we have potentially a worse computer, but we shall see. Yeah, so welcome to the Rust Gamedev Meetup. I even have slides today. That's how scuffed we are today. But I'm pretty excited for today. The thing is, we don't have a lot of speakers this month. However, I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, what else can I do? And so I'm going to show off some Valerian stuff a little bit. We got some cool updates. Um, and I remember that the Bevy Jam happened, and I'm like, wait, there's like a ton of games that I could just play. And so I'm like super excited because I've not checked out any of the Bevy Jam games yet. And so I'm very excited to see what people have made, what I can play in the browser. And just looking through it, like there's so many submissions, it's beautiful. And so thank you very much to everybody who submitted that because you're the sponsor of today's content, I guess. Yeah, so we will hop right into it. A few things I want to go over first. Let me see here. Yeah, okay, I'll give some updates. Okay, just pretend that I had like switched the screen over. I'm talking about Valorant now. This month we saw some really cool upticks in how many people are playing the game. And so right now we have like 230 people playing. If I go to like the last let's say like 7 days or something, we'll see like we had like a spike of like 330 a few days ago. And so the crazy thing about this though is that at daily peaks at this point, we're hitting more than our all-time record at a release party. And so this is a lot because of the Latin American streaming and YouTube communities who have put out some like a ton of videos, and just like it's become really popular in Latin America and or I guess just like Spanish speaking countries in general. And this is really cool because we've not only seen a ton of new players from Latin America, but it's also pushed us like really hard to make better and more accessible ways for people in Latin America to play. And so one of the things, and I don't know if I have an easy way of showing this off, but we have, um, okay, I guess it's just in like the Valorant Discord announcements. And so let me see if I can like pull up an image or something of it. Um, this is what I get for not preparing in time. Okay, yes, okay, here, perfect. Let me just open this here and toss this image up. So we've been working on a server browser, and like to be honest, when the announcement in the Valorant Discord was put out yesterday, I was surprised because it was like 2 weeks ago that we're like, okay, we should build infrastructure for a server browser, and this includes like having a backend that can keep track of which servers are live. We had to think a lot about how can servers like say that like they're broadcasting that people can play on them. We've also had meetings like concerning what does it look like to transfer characters between servers and stuff like this. And so I was impressed that not only do we have a server browser, but I think it was Xvar on our team, as well as a ton of other people who got it working in Airshipper, which is super cool. Now, the biggest plus side of this is now it's way easier to join other Valorant servers without needing to know the IPs of them just because like you went to somewhere and found the IP. And so this is a lot better. It makes the game significantly more accessible to people in different parts of the world since our main game server is in Germany. And so especially for like a lot of Latin American servers, a lot of North American servers, um, it's a lot easier to find games to play now, or servers to play on rather. That being said, there's still a lot of work to go, but it turned the influx of way too many people on the server at once. Here, let me go to like last 30 days. I'll cut it down to like the last however long. Oh yeah, okay. So our main game server has about a player cap of 400 people. Um, and by about I mean like we actually cap it there because if we get more than that, like the tick rate's just terrible and you only get like 5 ticks per second. It's not playable. And so we cap it there. We want to increase that in the future. There's like a lot of optimization that still needs to be done in a lot of places. But the fact that we've hit it on multiple occasions really like it put a fire under us to get working on the server browser and making other servers more accessible. So the next steps that we have are getting our own official server hosted somewhere in North America. We want to do some testing with this. There's a few things that I'm like we're sort of looking at, like, okay, well, like, so Hetzner has an offering for like an AMD EPYC server, and also maybe people will know more about this, but there's also like this cool chip called the Ampere. And let me pull up the exact thing. Hetzner Ampere RX line. So it's pretty neat because it has 80 cores. And so, yeah, 80 cores. Now, it's not hyper-threaded, and so this does not equate to 160 threads. Each core is its own logical thread. I think that's the term for it. But running Valerian on this would be really cool. And actually, just like for a little bit more context, let's go take a look at how the CPU is doing. So on the CPU that we're running on right now, we're using about 50% of all cores. And that being said, there, of course, like, it would be better if this was 75, if it was closer to 100. But there's a lot that still needs to be done to work on making sure that we have stuff that needs to happen in a certain order happening properly. And we can see that with our system Gantt chart here, where if we take a look at this, we can see, okay, physics is like taking a ton of the time during a tick, whereas like a lot of other stuff is parallelized, but not everything can just be, a lot of stuff has to be one after another. But anyways, it's been a ton of fun. So yeah, basically, also I'm like super behind on Valerian dev posts, and also you might be used to the Rust Gamedev Meetup coming out after the newsletter, but and it's already the 17th. I have to just finish up the last few edits before we get this month's newsletter out. But anyways, I digress. So September 1st, we broke our record at the last release party. We had 277 people. On September 1st, we had 369, and then we broke the record again. We hit 400 players, and we capped out there. I was going to turn up the limit, but then I didn't look at how the server is handling, and it was not handling. And so, yeah, we have definitely a lot of people who are have become very interested in Valerian. And I mean, that's really great for us as well, because for us, it's like validation that the hard work that we put in over all these years is like, people are enjoying it. People are seeing that it's like a really fun game, giving us feedback. More contributors are coming in. It's a great feedback loop. So anyways, that's everything on the Valerian front. Let me just check. Yeah, okay, so my chat, I'm literally using my phone to see if there's any messages, because I don't have 4 monitors on my laptop. Game development and Rust, and where's the meetup? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that will be the end of the Valerian section here. And yeah, I guess it would be nice if I had. Wait, actually, so it's showing my connection's unstable. I'm just checking if anybody wants to just type in chat how my audio, how my video is. Just let me know, because if I'm gonna play games as well, they're probably gonna look pretty scuffed if it's not so great. Stream is good. Okay, good to hear. Good to hear. Perfect. So let us get started on some of the games from today. And so we have, sorry, let's check messages again. All right, we're good. So I'm just going to go through, I'll probably try to play through a decent amount of the games from the Bevy Jam. I think they're ranked in order of the ratings, and so we'll see what we can get. I don't know if audio is going to come through. I'm betting that it's not, and so let me know if it does, but we shall see. Okay, so I saw this mentioned a little bit, this Shanty Quest mentioned a little bit in the, oh, it's very not happy. One sec, let me go like that. I feel like either it's not happy because I'm on a Mac or something else. Okay, I'm gonna leave this for now. I'm gonna go back to a different one that may or may not be a little bit more performant for what. Okay, no, it's literally just a browser. Okay, so what I might do is, well, I try to fix this. I think I'm going to try and see if I can hand it over to the Graphite team. Now, if they're not ready, then I'll just tech fix stuff on the go. But either way, we'll be back in just a few seconds. decent amount of feedback. I'm not sure which one, though.
We can hear you now. The first 5 seconds or so involved inaudible sound.
Oh, okay. I think we're getting feedback from Kevin. True Doctor, do you hear the feedback as well? Sorry, not feedback, just like extra noise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do hear that.
Okay. Well, I'll hand it off to y'all, and I'll let you talk about Graphite and what's been going on this month.
Hello, do you hear me? If I'm causing feedback, you do hear me? Okay.
We do hear you. It's just
am I still causing
background
feedback?
noise.
Okay, well, we'll probably roll with it unless it's terrible.
No, it's fine. It's just the AC.
Okay. Anyways, hello everyone. Here is an update for Graphite for this month. So, Graphite at a glance, just in case you're tuning in for the first time. The idea is to build a professional, user-friendly, versatile 2D graphics editor for everyone. And the goal a few years from now is that we'd like to be considered the 2D counterpart to Blender, which is sort of the de facto tool for Blender. It's in the 3D world, and we want to be the 2D de facto tool that everyone goes to for anything like photo editing, graphic design, image processing, procedural generation, anything that you might currently use Photoshop or GIMP or Krita or Substance Designer for. We'd like to be able to eventually cover all that stuff. We're starting out with our strategy of building this with a vector-based illustration first, because that is something that I think probably needs more help. We currently have the open source alternative Inkscape, and it is difficult to use, and we're trying to make something a little easier. And then we're moving towards now a node-based system, which essentially makes everything, the goal is to make everything non-destructive. So the things that you do can always be tweaked after the fact, and you can therefore apply creative license to make creative decisions and tweak things after you've made them. Here is a quick overview of the UI. We care a lot about making the UI look and behave very intuitively and very nicely. So rather than having some kind of clunky GDK-based application, we're currently starting out with a web app, but eventually you're going to be switching over to something that's fully Rust-based. But this is our goal for the UI. This is a mock-up that you're looking at here, but we do have at least half of this implemented so far. And then here is what we've been showing off as the design for how the node-based UI will display basically the same thing that you previously had in your layer panel. You can see the layer panel on the right, but then instead you have in the middle area here, this would be the node graph that actually represents the same stuff. And we've actually been working this month on sort of a version 2 of this node graph design, and here is this second version. And we're also now working on a third version, which is in progress, and we'll hopefully have something to show you next month on that. And also hopefully have some of that implemented by next month as well. The main focus of Sprint 18 has actually and Sprint 18 is something that we've been working on this past month. We do monthly sprints, by the way. And we've been mostly working on the node system this entire month. A lot of design for how this is going to interact with the user, and the existing code base, which is something relatively low level at the moment. We're trying to bridge that gap to the high level user-facing systems and come up with a way that we design the correct architecture as well as user experience for this to work. With that in mind, I think I will pass this over to Dennis, also known as True Doctor, and he will be talking a little bit about a tech talk, and then we'll continue back to discussing and showing off a few of these smaller features that have been added as well this past month.
Yeah. First, if you could switch the screen share to my screen. Thanks. Right. So this will be a bit scuffed, but bear with me. Today I'm going to give you a small introduction into like the general concept of how we will do things. First of all, a quick disclaimer. There will be names that I use, like document and protograph things, but those are temporary and placeholders, so I'm just using them so I don't confuse myself. All right, so the basic design is we do have to juggle a few things here. For once, we want to accurately represent the computation that happens to the user, and we don't want too much. We don't want too much magic to happen. So we don't want to obfuscate processes from the user. So we kind of have to juggle, for once, accurately representing what happens to the user, also building like a capable system that's not fundamentally limited in some way, because that just fits the use case we designed it for. So we want user extendability. And on the other hand, we need to manage all that complexness. So on the one hand, we have this very kind of technical implementation of a graph that's also similar to a functional programming language. Actually, each of these nodes is in of itself just a function with its input arguments. And just using that, we can construct basically a Turing-complete programming language. So you can do anything just composing functions and writing everything. But that's not really that useful from a user's perspective, because usually you want to get things done quickly and you'd like to take shortcuts. This is a very raw view of things. So what we would like to do is to kind of bundle a bunch of nodes into a single bigger node. So this would be something like the brush node. The brush node is a combination of multiple different, like the implementation consists of other more different nodes, but we bundle together useful concepts as these sort of meta nodes. And one thing that we discovered while working on this design is that this is kind of analogous to how programming languages work, because programming languages face the same issue. They have to manage complexity. And in this case, in a programming language, the raw view would basically be just assembler. So a bunch of move, just assembler instructions, and then we can develop higher level concepts like the if statement, a for loop. And these concepts translate into the fundamental raw instructions, but they provide a useful abstraction for the user. We kind of want to do the same thing. So that's why in Graphite we distinguish between the fundamental primitive nodes, which are just implemented as Rust functions, and these more complex nodes that are basically the syntax of our visual programming language. This has a few interesting implications. So what we actually, so if you have a description of some workflow, I'm just making something up. So let's say we have an image and we want to feed that image through a grayscale node. This would be a simple thing for the user, but under the hood, something more complex happens, because this image node internally consists of something like a file node, and a file node then feeds into an image conversion node, which converts it into an actual image data type with our own color specification. So there's a lot of things that internally happen, but we don't want to show the user by default, but it should still be explicit. So what you can do is that when you look at the definition of the image node, you can kind of zoom in, or I'll just do this. Inside of it, you can take a look at the actual implementation using more and more fundamental nodes. which would be the disassembly in a sense. So we take our description, our high-level description, which for now I will be calling the document graph, and we then compile and convert that into our assembly. So a group of more fundamental nodes that are linked together to form one current execution structure. So these functions are basically our assembly instructions, the primitives, and we do have a couple of different ways of executing this, because we could, of course, copy all of these into just a Rust source file and use the function definition as Rust code and then compile them into one program. This would yield the best execution times, because the compiler might be able to abstract away the concept of nodes, could, for example, merge nodes together, something like that. But we usually don't have the time to do that, because when the user draws something on the screen, we don't want it to take 2 seconds for the Rust compiler to compile the new node graph. So instead, what we do is that we do our internal compilation step. So we compile from the high-level syntactic-like description, which I will for now call the document graph, and we convert it into a more fundamental description, which is the protograph, which is on the right side here. So it's actually called a protograph because we can then take this protograph and do basically graph rewriting and topology optimization to create a more optimized version, insert caching where it's appropriate, insert GPU execution where it's appropriate, and this then produces the final render graph. So that's why it's called a protograph. But yeah, this is a compilation step. Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was arguing that we don't have the time, and especially not the latency requirements, to allow us to use Rust C to just compile it into one program. So what we do instead is that we will have some sort of interpreted functionality. So just like in just-in-time compiled languages, you could either execute one statement at a time in a kind of interpreted fashion, or you can compile sections of the program source code into binaries. This is also what we're trying to do. So when you make changes, first of all, they will be just interpreted, but over time, in the background, we will spin up compilation threads to kind of optimize the program to allow it to run more efficiently. Because obviously, if you do that at runtime, you have to do type checking at runtime, which is always an overhead. Also, we will reduce the number of heap allocations, and yeah, there are a bunch of reasons why we would want to still optimize this and compile parts of the graph. Right. But just not to confuse you, we have two different kinds of compilation going on. For once, from document to protograph, that's our own compilation. And we can then compile the protograph into actual, like for example, WebAssembly binary, which would be another Rust C compilation going on. But what I'm going to focus on today is this first part. So going from document graph to protograph. And a kind of neat thing that we stumbled upon. So let's assume that I have a node here, which is just a bitmap basically. Some sort of image node. and I want to apply the grayscale operation. This image node has the output type of bitmap, and the grayscale node should of course also allow the input type of bitmap, and this would output another bitmap. But let's say I have some sort of vector image, which is of type vector. I would also like to be able to use the grayscale node. So in this case, I would want it to take vector as input type, and also spit out vector as output type. What a lot of editors would do is that they just automatically convert the type for you. So once you feed the data in, they automatically do a conversion for you and would spit out a bitmap. But in this case, we can actually still retain the non-destructiveness. We can still retain the infinite resolution of the logo, well, just the vector properties, which allow us to more easily do like Boolean operations on the shapes, for example. So there's actually good reason to do this as a vector operation. Also, it's more efficient because you just change some color attributes on the shape, and you don't have to go through every pixel and render it actually out in order to do the conversion. So there are a bunch of good reasons why we would want to have a single node with different implementations from the same type. I'll actually draw a blown up version of the grayscale node here, so we can take a look at what's going on inside of this. And for now, I'll just assume we get as input type bitmap and output type bitmap. So what happens internally is that we feed this into some sort of map pixel node. This map pixel node maps every pixel from input to output. And this map pixel node also takes as input the desaturate node. This desaturate node only operates on a single color. So this is also a way where we can, of how we can make a single, you can kind of see that this is a sort of lambda, if you're familiar with that, because this is the map pixel node actually takes a node as input. It's kind of the lambda, the desaturate lambda. And it then applies this node to every pixel. We could now draw an alternative implementation, which will look fairly similar, but in this case, we're doing this for vector data. We still have our internal node, and we still have sort of desaturate node. But now we no longer have the map pixel node, but I'm just going to call it the map vector metadata. So this would change the metadata for our vector shape and apply the desaturate node to kind of change the attribute. Of course, the way we're doing this is also pretty nice because you can keep the scaffolding, and just by exchanging the desaturate node for example, levels node or the brightness contrast node, you can use the same You can reuse the same setup and just change the lambda basically, which makes it a lot easier to implement new nodes. So we would kind of want this to work where we can have different implementations given the input types. And this kind of, well, that's a bit of an issue because now we have sort of generic nodes with generic arguments. They can take multiple arguments. That means we actually do have to do our own type inference to figure out at runtime what type something should be. And this is a bit daunting because I ideally didn't want to implement just a subset of Rust C for a simple graphics application. But one advantage is that there's a project called Chalk. And Chalk is basically the one attempt at a next-gen type solver for the Rust compiler. So potentially in the future, Rust C will move to use Chalk. It's a logic-based type solver, so similar to how Prolog works, for those that are familiar with it, so logical programming. You define statements about types as facts and then ask a question like, does this type implement debug, for example? And then Chalk will go through and figure out if it does. Also, if types are equal, for example, it's another thing it can do. So there was kind of this thought that we could potentially use Chalk. But one thing we still had to do is that we needed to define how generics should work, because that's not something that's very prevalent in node system with generics as node arguments. And after thinking about that a bit, I came up with a few kind of things that we had to discuss and decide on how we wanted to handle them. One of the things was that I wasn't quite sure how traits fit into the whole concept. I mean, as you know, traits are a thing that exists in Rust, and they are probably there for a good reason. But if you actually think about why they are there, I wasn't so sure if that would apply to our use case. So let's say I have the grayscale node. This is kind of a zoomed out macro view. And this has input type T. So this would be a generic input type. It could be either, as we defined here, either bitmap or vector, potentially other things. It would also be output type T. So how do we figure out what this actually is? What is T? And if we then, this is a bit short, but let's assume this is a bitmap node that just loads an image. How can we check if this works? And one thing that we noticed is that actually the concept of nodes with generic type parameters are analogous to Rust traits. So this grayscale node defines that it can either take either bitmap or vector as input. If we do now make the translation, we could say that the trait grayscale node is implemented for bitmap and vector. And this allows us to kind of formulate our node graph in a way that the Rust type system can understand. We can directly translate the concept of generic nodes into Rust traits and a concept that the Rust type system can understand. So we can potentially use Chalk to solve this type inference for us. This would allow us to not have to implement our own type inference and also not limit ourselves, because we could still, for example, support type constructors. So we could have some node that takes t as input and returns vec of t as output. So we still have type constructors and kind of get to use the whole beauty of the Rust type system. And yeah, that's basically kind of what I've been working on over the last weeks. And what we now have to do is actually implement this. We also stumbled upon a few interesting, unique little design concepts. For example, reformulating the compositing workflow in our node graph as a more general concept that we could expose to the user. But I think this is probably sufficient for now. I've talked long enough, and I think I'll give it back to Kevin. And also, of course, later if you have questions, we can go through those.
All right. Yes, and you still hear me correctly?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, that was very interesting, and I think that was a good summary of the things that we've been talking about over this past month or so. And now to top that off, let's just quickly go over a few of the improvements that have also been made to the main code base while that has also been going on behind the scenes. So one major improvement, courtesy of Hypercube, is that he's also one of our core team members. He has worked on the transformation cage and setting of layer pivots. So what this looks like is that when you actually create a layer now, you'll notice that there is this dot here in the middle. And that is the rotation pivot. So if you rotate around that spot, it will now rotate around wherever you put that pivot, and you can drag it around. You can also scale relative to that pivot. And you can also now put that wherever you want based upon this little gizmo in the select tool. And that puts it in the center or on one of the edges. And then also that exists here in this transform panel. And now you'll notice that the X and Y position actually move whenever you change that pivot, because that the shape is staying still, but the pivot around which these coordinates are based are actually moving. So now, for example, if you wanted to align the left side, and let's also even out the rotation again, you could now say, I want this top left corner to be at 0, 0. And now if you do that, you'll see that right here, if you check, here is 0 on the ruler, and here is 0 on the ruler. So I'm putting that corner up there, 0, 0. And now if I move the pivot to the right, bottom right, you'll see that it is now down here, which is the same as the width and the height, because we moved it to that opposite corner. So this also works for multiple layers. If you have multiple selected, what actually happens is that we average out the pivot point, but if you now go and reset the pivot to a new location, like for example the left side, and now I rotate both of these around that left side, you'll notice that now if we go and select them individually, the pivots have actually been updated to that one spot for both of them. And now I can move both of them, and you'll see that they maintain that position that they were given. And now you can, of course, easily go and reset it. And that's how that works for multiple layers. So this makes it much easier. Let's, for example, say I wanted to rotate around another spot. So if I had a line here and I wanted to line up both of these relative to that, I snap it here and it automatically snaps. And now the rotation is around that corner. So that's how that works. We also now have one simple thing, which is alt dragging to duplicate layers. So I'm just holding alt and duplicating each time I drag. That's just a nice little quality of life improvement. And then lastly, also courtesy of Hypercube, we have the insert points, extend paths, and close paths. So with the pen tool, if I go and make a shape, so like this, and now I want to realize, I actually wanted another point right in here, another control point. I can just double click, and now we have another one. So this makes it much easier to do any kind of art you want. You can also delete this. We had this feature before. You just click on it and delete. But now you can add them back as well by simply double-clicking. We can also now, using the pen tool, click on the endpoint and continue extending the path. This is also something that you couldn't do earlier, and that allows you to extend existing paths. And finally, you can then close a path as well. So now this is a closed shape. So for example, you'll notice that this is not, this is a closed shape because I just clicked where I started to close it, and you'll see that we have this nice sharp point here. But instead, if I had created the point like this, you'll see that they have a flat line at the end, and if I join them together, they still don't actually match up because they're still disconnected. But now I can go and join these by simply taking the path tool and click, and now they actually get joined. And now I can delete this other one here, and you can see that they have a sharp shared point that indicates that they are a closed shape. And that was the last tool, the last feature of the pen and path tool that we needed to really make it so you can make actually arbitrary shapes and do pretty much any type of graphic design that you wanted. So that is the completion of what I guess can be described as the minimum viable product for the pen tool and the path tool. So with that said, thank you for tuning in. We have another 3 or 4 weeks for this upcoming, or for the ongoing sprint number 19, and we will continue working on additional node graph design and implementation. And our very aspirational goal would be to have the node graph system ready before November, which is coming up this November, where people make node-based things and whatever graphic software that is available. We might not make it by that deadline because there's a lot of work to do. And I can hear the breath of Dennis laughing right now about how that's probably not feasible, but we'll do our best. So with that in mind, if you're interested in any of this Rust-based engineering of the type system and the node graph, and basically building a programming language out of an existing programming language, please join in our conversation here, because this is something that takes a lot of work and a lot of expertise from a wide variety of different backgrounds, especially in programming language design, type systems, type theory, category theory, all these different sorts of things. So if you have any of that background, or if you're just interested in checking it out and giving some of your thoughts, please do get involved so that we can make this the best system that we possibly can. So the links are on screen, and yeah, thank you.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, I think so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is very cool to see. True Doctor, one question I was curious about, you're mentioning during the compilation phase how you're going to use like the just-in-time compiler like techniques. I was also curious, you say you can't use Rust C just because of how much time it takes and stuff like that, but I do know that Crane Lift has like a lot of potential as well. Is that still within the realm of impossible because it's still taking way too long for a full compilation? Or what are your thoughts on that?
There's potentially some trickery that we can do. So for example, if you, let's say you already have a brush node and you want to just draw more strokes, we can, instead of recompiling, like instead of treating it as a topology change, we can just change the input data we feed into the graph. So we can just extend the path that the user has drawn and not change the graph topology by adding in new nodes. So that's a simple way where we can achieve basically non-existent latency because we skip the recompilation. Mm-hmm. Another issue is just in general shipping Rust C. So if we can't ship Rust C with our binary, then we will always have a certain amount of network latency, and it just kind of feels sluggish when you do something and you have to wait for a couple milliseconds for the result to get back. Mm-hmm. So ideally we do still need the interpretation, which is unfortunate because that will be quite ugly to implement, and I'm not looking forward to it, but I think it's necessary.
It will pay off a lot, it sounds like. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Well, thank you so much, Graphite team. And I'm definitely, so yeah, Kevin, when you mentioned November, I was very interested in like what that meant, but it sounds like it's gonna be a pretty good time.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I would love if it's ready. We could basically make. I think they're planning to do every 2 days because every day was quite a lot of work for people doing very technical projects. But every other day, I would love to make sort of some kind of official submission on behalf of the team if the project is ready. And maybe
Yeah.
we could also add the necessary features each day that are missing for that day's project. But I think that would be a good way of building and maintaining momentum throughout that month. So I really hope that we can get some sort of MVP ready before then. But we'll see. No promises.
Perfect. All right. Well, good stuff. I guess I'll see y'all in October, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So hopping back over to some Bevy games here, I'm going to give Shanty Quest Trouble at Sea another try. Now, I feel like it could be pretty audio based. I'm going to turn off the audio on my end because I'm still having some difficulty with that. But I am having good response time, I think. Let me just check how the stream looks. Okay, so Shanty Quest Trouble at Sea. First of all, I love like the art. Bevy Jam, if I'm not mistaken, is about a week long, and so being able to like put in this this much effort into the art is like very cool. Now I am going to try and skip any story so that people can enjoy it on their own. So hold left button to move. Also, I'm playing on a mouse and or not mouse and keyboard. I'm playing on trackpad. So okay. So space to dash. Nice. And F to start jamming. Oh yes, this is very cool. Now the only problem is that I also have my music turned off, and so I don't think I'm getting the full experience here. Sailed right into an ambush. All right, so now I gotta go fight someone, I guess. Oh, so it's like a boss fight, sort of. Oh, it is a boss. It's literally a boss fight. They're jamming harder than I can with my keyboard and mouse. Their AI is better than me. Okay, so I can ram them, I think. No, it's a dash. So I can get over here, maybe. Oh, I guess I just always have my sound on, so that's fine. Okay, I lost like half my health. Okay, a progression system. Nice. So let us take a look. Sorry, I'm still going through all of the stuff very quickly just to see what's going on. All right, so I think I need to go to the governor's office. All right, so I think I'm getting a quest from there. No more rum, unfortunate. Okay, I'm back to full health. That was a very good move. 1 second, I'm gonna go full screen. Does that still share? No, it doesn't if I go full screen. So I think I'll press escape. Oh no, it just completely froze on this side. So let me. So I'm just gonna reshare here. Oh, now my computer's not having a good time. Oh, this is not good. All right, we saw one second. I'm going to refresh my. Oh, wait, we might be back. All right. Okay, there we go. So, this is the first game here. I don't want to go too deep into everyone because this looks like it has quite a lot of stuff that you can play through. I'm pretty impressed with how there's like sort of a tutorial integrated, a story integrated, and everything like that. So, that is Shanty Quest. Now, let's check out One Clicker. Again, just going through as quickly as I can to a lot of them. All right, One Clicker. So, okay. So if I click around, I'm creating these things. Okay. Now this I like. So this looks like you click to place one, and then if I hover over it, then I can make the money from it. Okay. I love this type of game. I see conveyor belts. I think Factorio. So let's see. If I place a conveyor belt right here, and if I place things into this conveyor belt, then I can make it here. I'm gonna make a second one, and if I place something here, and it'll appear at the end. Okay, so I'm just gonna click a lot of times. Yeah, so I think systems wise, this type of game looks like something that Bevy would excel quite a lot at. Very impressive getting in conveyor belts and everything working in time. Okay, miner. Can I? R to rotate, tab, can I rotate anything here? I can't see if there's a way to rotate. Minor. Okay, so it generates. Okay, so I just want like a lot of minors, I think. And this is definitely a type of game where I'm gonna keep talking and playing this for a super long time because I could I don't know, this is really cool. I like it. Let's see if we get to the 200. We'll get to the 200 and then I'll stop here because I'll literally play it for like half an hour. All right. So I guess I can also go. I wonder if I hold shift and click if I can place multiply. I don't think so. So maybe there isn't rotation just yet. Maybe you just have to build with the direction of how everything is. Okay, the conveyor belts are like limited in what they can do, I think. In that they can only go put stuff through so fast, so everything over here is like super stuck. Okay, collector. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Okay, so now the collector's doing all the work. Okay. So I'm able to, I guess I'm going to create something that picks stuff up. All right. So I'll stop here just because I'm going to keep playing it. I love this. I love factory games. I like just elegant, not too much going on, nice symbols and everything. Grid based is pretty great. I'm not 100% sure, but does anybody know if the source code for oh my gosh, it is open. This is very cool. I'm gonna start that. A Bevy template for game jams. Oh, that's very cool. I need to check that out as well. Okay, anyways, let's go check out the fantastical cookbook. I was gonna just keep gaining money, but I don't want to like ruin the surprise of what the other things are. I'll let other people go play that. All right, the fantastical cookbook. Let's see what we got going on here. Click. Oh, we got some audio. Unfortunately, I'll mute it again because there is some artifacting happening. Squee the thumbless. Who are you? You aren't the usual chef. Where is Guillaume? My boss Gordon will not be pleased. Good thing I came by to check first. He would have sauteed you with. Wait, is that sauteed? Yeah, sauteed you with tongue. Do we know how to cook? It doesn't look like it. All right, I'm gonna speed through this. I apologize for the story. Wait, no, okay, I'm at the end of the story. So, I got Yeti water and frost scale. Put something cold in the slot. Let's do Yeti water. The item on top will freeze. Go try to make ice. Okay, nice. Okay, so I put the stuff on top, and then I got some ice here. So now shouldn't need a hint for this one. So I changed ice into shaved ice. Okay. I want to combine it with some cream. Wait, can I? I do not know where I get cream from. All right, I might be stuck here, but I think that is a good one to leave this off on. Looks like there's a little bit more to go through there. Now let's check out USA Football League Scouting Combine. XLV, it's like 45 maybe. I could be very wrong. All right. By Michael Ramirez. Okay. Let's see here. Is it full screen? Yeah, it's full screen. Oof. I might not be able to play this. Yeah, still black screen there. Yeah, so unfortunately, I think just because of how my browser is sharing stuff. There's going to be problems with that. And so I'm just going to reshare my screen here. All right, let's do a few more here. So we'll do RGB. And there's a lot. Like I take a decent amount of time to go through all of it. Oops, I think I'm just looking for stuff that is playable in browser. So we'll go to the company next. Okay, so what do we got with the company? Dearest child, with the passing of your father, the management company falls to you. Ensure the company survives, or we shall fall to ruin. Okay, so click the icons here to order resources. When you have limited carts, when a cart is free, it will deliver the goods. There are a few recipes that can be made in the factory. Okay, so we got a cart of these items coming in, and I assume that, so we're going to get whatever this recipe is, the third one down. Oh, I need to, oh no. I have to wait till the next horse can come and ship some stuff. Have I exhausted all my money? No, this time I won't. Okay, so we're creating some, what is that? Apple juice, maybe. Ships arrive when the timer expires. Make sure you. Oh, okay. So this is sort of, what's that? A cooking game with it's like a co-op cooking game. Okay, so this ship's gonna come in. Presumably, you have to click and drag and put this on the ship. All right, I'm good to go. So I need to make that. Oh, a ship's gonna come in and get one of these. So hopefully, okay, the ship's coming in. I should get a grape, box, this, box, this. Where's my horsey? Wait, or does the ship come with this? No. Do I need to put that on a ship? Okay. No, I don't need the grape. Oh no, I put the grape in the vat, and now I'm gonna. Oh no, okay. I think I've done what I can, and unfortunately, I'm about to fall to ruin. The company's going to die. Nobody asked for this, but I'll give it to them. All right, I like that. That's kind of you gotta keep everything going. You gotta keep everything alive. All right, let's check out Loot Goblin. Although if it's 3D, my ability to play it may be limited. Okay. Oh, don't go full screen. All right, we're still sharing. We're still sharing. Okay. So in Loot Goblin, Sir hoards a lot. Descends into the darkness of the dungeon. All right, so it looks like it's a game of inventory organization. So I found a box. A rat squeals angrily and jumps at me. Uh, so I believe I am fighting the enemy now. I'm dying a little bit. Scroll of basics combined with an empty file for. Combine empty file. Oh, interesting. Okay. I like the scroll of basics. That's a cool way to do a tutorial. I love that actually. Because it's taking up inventory space, and so now I have to rusty sword. I like that. Shift click an item to use it on the hero. Okay, so I have a weapon now. I'm going to keep fighting as I go forward. Oh no, I'm taking damage. Taking a lot of damage. Okay, red herb with a vial. Combine red herb with a vial. Oh. Red herb. How does combination work? Place ingredients in the combining area and click combine. Okay. So go like this and like this. I get a potion of health. Let's try a different one. Let's go for the green herb this time. Let's see here. 2 points of combat professionally for 20 seconds. Interesting. I don't know. It seems very turn-based. I'm surprised that the seconds play into it. All right, yeah, this one's pretty nifty. I like the sort of log here. I like this sort of idea where instead of me spending a lot of time, oh no, I'm about to die. No, shift click. Okay, there we go. Instead of me spending a lot of time worrying about how I'm going through the dungeon, it's a lot more about, okay, well, we're going to just focus on the inventory side of things and how you build that up. And presumably I can only keep so much. I wonder if it's viable for me to use this area to store more stuff if I don't combine it. What if I combine it? Okay, it's not gonna let me. So in theory, I'm able to store stuff here for longer. So that one is pretty nice. All right, let's check out Subfuse. Okay. Escape the hotel. Okay, I like this. I like this. Okay, well, I guess trackpad is not the end of the world. The audio. I think it's just something on Mac. Okay, so. Which means that I feel like this is a horror game and I don't have the horror experience through audio. Okay, so looks like I can't go in that way. Is there someone driving over there? Or is that just I got the I guess CRT effect here. It looks very nice. This is an impressive 3D game. This is very nice. The lighting in here is very good. One thing I'm curious about is how the ecosystem of building large levels. I can't tell if I'm going up. Am I going up? I don't know if I am. How building large levels with Bevy is right now, because a lot of stuff here looks pretty complete. Well, sorry, not necessarily like or rather for like a game jam game, looks quite good. Oh, okay, this is awesome. Okay. If there's audio cues, then I'm not gonna do too well. Can I crouch? I'm not sure if I can. Insufficient funds, I cannot buy anything, I think. I'm curious if a cursor would help a little bit, because I can't tell exactly where the center is. Okay, so with that symbol, it seems like there's a symbol on here that's similar for this one right here. And in the elevator, we have an up-down arrow, and we have, can't see exactly what that is. Got some colors as well. The colors sort of line up with, I wonder if when I change this, if there's any effects over here. All right, I think I'll leave this one here to explore later. Well, maybe. Did I click on that? It doesn't appear that I did. Oh, I think I clicked something. No, I'm in a different place. No, I'm not. Okay, never mind. All right. I'll leave this for later. I'm quite impressed by just like how this game looks, and also runs in the browser. It's pretty nice. Okay. So next up, let's check out Beam Machines. This one has a very cool image. It's very Portal-esque, I believe. All right, let's give this one a go. The screen size is a bit off, but it's probably just because it's a 4K monitor. Okay, so structure, tractor beam, inputs on the blue squares and turn them into outputs on the red squares. Blue, so I want to go from here to here. Place a tractor beam to do so. Press play once you're ready to simulate the machine you built. What does this look like? Not sure if I'm able to move around. Oh yeah, okay. I can move around a little bit here. Not sure if I can get a better view. All right, I might not. 3, 4, 5, 6. Interesting. I think I'll leave this one here for now. But it does look like you can get. Okay, so I suppose like with tractor beams, they can send out. Oh, so I'm supposed to place potentially a tractor beam on the other side of the blue one so that it goes through the blue and red. All right, well, I'll leave that one for now. Maybe come back to it later. Mushroom-mancy. All right, let's take a look here. Grow mushrooms, create monstrosities, and take over the world. That I can do. All right, so nice. Okay, so I'm gonna put the crocodile on top of the deer. And can I plant a tree? Okay. Okay, so after. Okay, so I guess this is like this, as stuff decomposes, then it turns into stuff that you can use. Okay, so yeah, okay, this tree right here is growing. Oh, this is really cool. Okay, so it's like a sand simulation, and you build animals out of it. Okay, so so I'm gonna build. Oh, this is really cool. Okay, I'm just gonna place a lot of animals, and I'm gonna make an omega structure. I'm gonna put a tree over here, and this one is gonna grow into everything. I'm trying to make that mushroom a really big animal. I'm very curious where like, how it puts together the stuff in the form that it started with. So once you have a deer that falls and it turns into sand, then is it just as this mushroom grows and touches parts of the deer that were at an original position, then those ones are retained in the final animal? Well, I don't know how that would work because okay, so for this one we have like the deer's hind legs and the deer's front legs aren't a part. Can I click on stuff over here? It doesn't click it. All right, this mushroom's really gonna. Okay, it wasn't anything too wild. It looks like that's a pretty cool simulation here. Corpse storage, yeah. Mushroom tub, grow mushrooms from wait for mycelium to grow. Click on the mushroom to harvest. Admire your horrific creation. Your new minion will go out and capture more animals before it succumbs. Collecting bodies fills up your world domination meter until you've taken over the world. Okay, so I'm about halfway to taking over the world. So let's just get a few. More mushrooms here. Okay, they're going fast. Wow. All right, I'm gonna let that one grow for a while. We're almost at the top of. What's at the top of the Arctic? Yes, world domination achieved. Amazing. We have done it. Mushrooms have taken over. All right, we'll do a few more here before we call it for today. The elemental sorcerer. Okay. Arrow keys to move, Z to jump, R to restart from last checkpoint. Okay. Wait. Can I Z to jump? Okay, so I think I can jump with my normal just up button. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that part. Okay. What we got down here? Checkpoint saved. What if I go over here? Oh, maybe I can't go over here yet. Blocking the way, so I have to get around to something. I wonder if this. It looks like an asset pack, but the character might not be. You found an element of fire. Combine with your staff using pedestal to the right. Press down to interact. From a staff. Z to select. Combine. X to cast fireball. Okay, cool. That's a pretty interesting system of like building weapons. All right, let's see if we can get past that goblin now. Okay, so now we're going to the next area. Oh, did not think with that. And the Mario tricks do not work here. Wait, can I? Okay, I think that we've reached the end of my skill of platformers. Let's do Mole Rancher and Oiget. All right, so we can enter the lab here. Oh, I love this art. This is really good. Okay, so so I only have a certain amount of power. I wonder what's happened to. Oh, Mole Rancher. Oh, I get it. It's like a chemistry thing. So like they're turning into different stuff. What happens if they collide? Oh, they just upgrade. Let's do a lot more. Oh, now this is cool. Okay, so now because I have everything now, I can create a lot of stuff. I'm just gonna create a lot of the expensive ones. Okay, so by molecules generate power. New molecules are unlocked. Don't let the temperature go too high. Oh, I lost progress. Got to make sure I hit my daily quota. Oh, it's a working day. Okay. Oh, the 20 cost. That's the one I want to be spending a lot more on. So temperature gets higher, presumably if there's more of them moving around. I'm not sure what's combining stuff here. Maybe none of these can combine. We have to get like the 4 cost to be able to. All right, that one's pretty interesting. Under progressions like on that, so if it's like one day each, then what comes on the second day? All right, Global Information Terminal Corporation. I like that. Agent is advised to read letter attached in the below instructions, WSD, command line. All right, we'll see if I get it. Okay, enter. Oh, assemble diffs. So it might not be working for me. All right, I'll leave that for now, and let's check out combo box and bone collector. Oh, okay. Is this this might be a 2-player one. So WASD. Can the green push this? Okay, okay, yes. Left, right shift to grab. All right, only my right shift is working here, but that's all right. All right, nice little puzzle game. I like this. Oh, well, that's cool. If you combine them, they get more powerful. Well, interesting. So the blue can push the green one. I thought it was like only green could do the green boxes. Okay, okay. Yeah, it's a cool little puzzle platformer there. Balloon collector. All right. Help Skelly to collect bones and build his body. Okay, what can I do here? I can't click and drag, it seems. Oh, maybe stuff is loading in. Oh no. If only I had arms to open the door. All right, what do we got over here? Do I get all of these? Wow. That's a lot of upgrades. I get a chest. This is a pretty nice and spooky game. I like it. Guess a lot of bones here. Oh, good animations too. All right. I wonder if I got enough chests then. Now I can. Actually, I got legs and a chest, and so that was a pretty good upgrade. All right, we got some big bone piles over here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of bones. I forgot the theme for this jam. I think is combine. Oh, what we got over here? Another leg. Okay, okay. Still need my arms though. Yeah, so with combine, it's some pretty interesting stuff we've seen that plays along in that theme. Oh, I can run even. Oh, this is very good. And I got my arms. Okay. Now we're talking. Wait, I have an arm and I'm holding something else. Yeah. All right, nice. I like this. I like this a lot. Oh, cool. If you run off the world, you fall, it'll just back to the main. Nice. Okay, well done. Well done. Okay, so we are at about an hour and 20 minutes in, so I think we'll call it here for today for today's Rust Gamedev Meetup. So, yeah, thanks for everybody who had submitted games for the Bevy Jam. Yeah, again, we have like a part of the newsletter about it, and I'll try to get that newsletter either out today or tomorrow. But it's been a lot of fun checking them out. I'm definitely excited to see what the next Bevy Jam or the next Rusty Jam has to bring to the table. Yeah, so other than that, for announcements, I feel like I don't have anything on my mind that I need to put out there. Yeah, so I think we can end it off here. So thank you everybody for coming out. Oh, also, because when I ask questions, I normally like get pretty good answers. What I want to try doing is for some of the talks that we have during the Rust Gamedev Meetup, like turning them into their own YouTube videos. And it's not that it's like very difficult to do that. It's just the video editing software I have is like DaVinci Resolve. It's good for very big stuff, but very tedious if it's a lot of small stuff. So I was wondering, what are people's favorites? Just like very short clip cutters. Like if I have like an hour and a half long uh, like piece of video, then what would be best for me to just like load it up and say I want to start a video here, end the video here, and I'm good to go. Because then I can upload those to the Rust Gamedev YouTube much more easily. So if you have any thoughts on that, do put them into the Rust Gamedev Discord, and I will see if I can start putting out some videos on the YouTube channel that are shortened versions of the meetups and just on particular topics. But anyways, thank you everybody for coming out, and we will see you next month.